Okay, Friday morning. It's about 6:30ish, I reckon. Just setting up these gates to get the cows out. The cows are up in the shed at the farm at the moment. They're going to walk down this track here, come through it. They usually go out through there. That's like our main passage because we've got like a lot of acres up through there. But they're going to walk down through here and down through this track today on a bit of fresh stuff. So we've got a bit of grass down through there, but nothing major. It's all dry stuff at the moment in it, not much nutrition in it. Sort of hard to get the intake, so they're still getting a lot of silage. That field there, that's the lagoon, the other side of the trees there. And then we started to run out of ground to put all this sand the other day, what I got in my other video. So we laced this field up with sand, and when I say laced up, it's literally knee deep. Real dry and crispy it went, so we disced that in with the discs. And then probably, like, it's raining now and the ground's quite wet, but that's still dust out there. What we might do, we might risk it in pow it and chuck the seed on straight away and see how it goes. It's only like 8 acres and we've got another 16 acres at the road. So we'll see if it works out alright. It says on the weather it might rain throughout next week. As long as you get a little bit of drizzle. That sand, what we put on, is holding the moisture well. I went out there before we disced it up and kicked it about. And it did have a lot of moisture in it, so hopefully that helped get the grass growing. So see how that goes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on up the track, let the cows go, and hopefully they'll march on out. They probably won't. They'll probably just stand there and look at me, and I'll have to drive everyone out. But that's the way it is at the moment. We get some grass growing back, we'll be able to get a little bit of grazing in, because quite often in October we get a little like shoot up of milk, little milk perk. Nice bit of grass growing. So season's not out yet. We'll see how it goes. Right, so I just drove about 100 metres up that track and now I'm at the top. I was parked down there just a minute ago. Now I'm parked at the top here at the farm. So this is our all year round calving farm. This is the farm I live on. So I'm just setting the wire up there. Looks like someone's drove over that gate handle. So I can state that. So that's that, so the cows can't run that way. They can just walk out straight down the track out the field. So the field, what I was on about, what we're disking, is the other side of those trees. This is a lagoon here. So after we had all that torrential rain, we filled the lagoon up by about 1 inch probably. You can just about see the floor still. There's a bit of water in there. Hopefully don't fill up too much. That was 4 days that was clean out the lagoon out, you know what? Don't want it to fill in that quick. So here's the cows here. 3 sheds all joined together here. See those sort of roofs there. 3 sheds, 150 cubicles in each shed. So we've got the cows in 2 sheds at the moment. They're just eating down 2 feed barriers. This is the outside feed barrier, and we've got 2 in the middle there. Still got the lights on. I've got to turn the off them out. I hate having lights on when it's light. So I put a ton down each barrier, and they're getting a kilo of cake in each in the mix. So each cow gets a kilo of cake, and then the rest gets put out in the field. So they've mocked this up. They should walk on out in a minute, and I've pushed it up too. On all our farms, it's all floor feeding. So we have no bunkers. We do like floor feeding, even the dry cows and young stock are mainly floor feeding. One problem you've got to keep pushing the silage up all the time, because these cows like this, see, they just push the silage out. So you've got to keep pushing it in. With bunkers, you ain't got to do that because it stays in there. Like this here, this is a better example. See that, they can't reach that now, so we've got to push that back in. But one thing, like, because you get a lot of stuff in your grub all the time, what they don't eat, like, I'll just come here and look at this. Bits of wood and that, like that, and like the odd stone, and then these like little bits of shitty silage, what they don't like. You can just run your yard scraper down and just sweep it straight out. So that's handy, because we just keep it nice and clean all the time, because the yard scraper's here sweeping out cubicles all the time, so we just push that one out. Right, so I'm going to let these cows go. So the milk's held up quite well on this farm, considering there's no grass at all really. There's only like the odd little pickings, and then all that grass isn't that good. It's like really dry and it's going to go limp. That's what I reckon will happen now. We'll get the rain and the grass will get growing, but I don't think we'll get any cutting grass on this farm because it's all heavy clay. It'll green up in the grazing will be alright, but the grass will go limp. Like it'll grow and then it'll go like floppy like it does in the autumn sometimes. I reckon we'll get that. So when we go out with the mowers and we cut a bit, what we think there's a lot there, you look at the back of the mower and not a lot will come out. So I reckon, yeah, that'll probably, I hope not, hopefully I'm wrong, and we get some good grass. Get a nice bit of cut, because we got 3 silage camps, and it's at 1200 ton silage camps, but we domed them up. So we probably got about 1700 ton in each silage camp. And we're halfway through one of these. So we like going into the winter, so I say winter, like middle of October or early October, considering what the weather's like. Early October, we like starting off early October with a full, like just it all full up, and then we can go right the way through, really till the following May, feeding silage with no sweat. But this year might be a bit sketchy. It might get like middle of March and be a bit tight. We might have to start halfway through the winter. Might have to start mixing some straw in the grub. Like we've done that before. We have to mix like 3 or 4 kilos of straw with the animals to string out the silage, or a bit of hay. We have got a lot of hay. Right, so I've just let them go. So the doors are open. One's interested, but it's going to happen what I thought. They're going to walk out here and stand there, and I'm going to have to drive them out. A lot of them are sat down. So I've got one bulling over there. So I see, says they walk out. One having a drink. These are flip over water troughs. You lift this bar out and then you just flip them straight over, and then that washes all this footwell. And then we scrape them off with these sand scrapers. When all these cows gone out, I got through these beds and scrape them all out. There weren't 2 walking away, but he's walking the wrong way. That way, he meant to be walking that way. Yeah, I'm gonna have a bit of a jog in there. Well, I chopped down around this wire the other day. That's come out nice and clean. Look at that. There's all thistles under this electric wire here. There's the stakes if you can see it. I definitely see the wire pipe. That looks good. That's cows don't get out then. But I just got to shut them in. So they're marching quite far at the moment, because thought we'd give all the close by the buildings paddocks a nice bit of rest. They're all chewed off down to the dirt, so now they're getting wet. We'll lay some out of fertiliser and let that grow, and then hopefully we'll have a, you know, if all goes well, we'll have an easy go in September. We'll have a nice bit of grass around the farm buildings. Yeah. In the far off fields we'll be able to fertilise them out and hopefully get a cut middle of October, end of October. Depends how fast it grows, depends how much the water soaks in. So this is where we've been feeding the grub out in the field. So I'm just about to drive along the line. Look, can you see that? That's where we put the grub out. They've had every last little drop right down to the dirt. It's made the grass go a different colour, but there's nothing left there. That's one lot, one day. And then we've got another lot here. A little bit of silage there. So what I want to do, when we do eventually stop feeding silage, and even if we do feed silage out the field right under the winter, we'll come out here just before it does like get really wet and horrible, and chain out that if we got to, but we probably won't have to. It'll probably disperse itself, because the cows are crossing these fields, so they should be about. Go on, ho, 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 go on, go on, go on in, go on in, go on. Get on, go on, go on, go on. Ho, 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 ho. So the cows are going, so I'm going to leave some cows behind in this field, but the majority of them we're marching through the wood. Up in there's some fields up over there. So I just got to shut this gate a minute. Put the camera there like that. There you've got silage in that field in clear, right? Now I just got to drive these into here. Go on, get on in. Usually march on through this wood. We've got a track going right through the wood here. See that? And then driving on up into here. So this track ain't ideal to walk across with, it's got a lot of little stones on it. But we've got a nice bit of grass here, what we usually cut. But we don't really want to have to cut it again. So we'll get these cows up here and get them eating this. So there's 3 fields there, they're going to march on up through there. I'm going to shut them in a minute. Go on, go on. Go on in, go on in, go on in, go on. He's full up, right, girl? Go on. Go on in, go on. Go on. Well, it's all electric wire around here, so I've got to have a real strong fencer on this today. Especially when the grass is short. We don't want nothing getting out. So chuck that wire out so they drive through it. Put it on, it's all electric wire around here. Right, it goes over there onto that, like that. That's linked up, now we've got a ring going along. I've got my solar powered fencer here. And check he's not on. So I keep getting electric shocks on these fences, someone keeps leaving them on. Right, put that on. Switch is under here. There you go, he's gone green. He's solar power, so solar power fences are great because don't need to go out battery on it. And they should march on up there and eat some grass now, and I'll check them a couple hours time, make sure they are alright out there. Don't want them getting out into this wood. It's a nightmare when cattle get out in the wood. So we've had a lot of cattle get out in the wood. So like we got woods with tracks going through them, and then on the tracks we've got spur tracks, but they're not stone. And when the cattle get out into the wood, they think it's great to start off with, they'll run on up through there or whatever. But then they go off on other tracks, and then you just got little pockets of cattle everywhere. We've got to drive around with a quad bike and bloody round them up. And they do come out alright, but they're all over the place, and you've got, like, it's just driving through wood, so you've got to drive through bloody, you know, wood and stuff, like brambles and shit. It's not great. And I've done a lot of that, and I've done a lot of walking through it too this year. They should settle down in a minute, those ones over there. Right, they're all showing, let's get out of there. Here we go, just had a cow calf. Number 456. So I think we had trouble with this cow back in the spring. I think she went down in the yard. So we dried her off early and put her out here. She's having a nice calf here. Frisian bull. I'll just drive her around and see if she's alright. Go on, go on. Yeah, it's a little bit tender on that back leg there. Right, look at this. We've got the wagon on. He's on the back. I'm on 175 at the moment. Let's put a load of grub round. So I've gone right up through the whole field. Up through there. And right out of there in a long real stretch. To actually feed a cattle out in the field works really well. If you do like a real long line and it's nice and dry, it's nearly better than having it down the feed barriers, because they all go out and they all get plenty of grub. But you just got to make sure like they're going to eat that and not just have a little nibble on grass then eat that. Like you want all or nothing really. You want grass or silage. So I just do a long line. It's the whole length of the field, and then the cow should march on out after milking, and then have gone this. So it's just me and calf this afternoon milking, so it's just two of us. We've got to do all the calves after. We've had all the cows calves, so we've got a feral afternoon. But so I'm doing this now because we usually do this in the afternoon and then the cows out. So the birds don't pick out, because you see a few birds come down already and haven't got it. But it's all alright, because we're short of people, it'll be alright for today. So I'm just going to drive on back now, and then I'm ready to go this afternoon. I'll bring all the fresh carrots in at the end of milking, and just dump all the milk at once, and then feed the carrots at the end. And probably feed all the cows on colostrum, because we're going to have plenty of colostrum this afternoon. So that ain't a bad thing. So at the moment I'm just loading at the feed trailer up on the spring unit. Well, it's not on the actual spring unit, it's down the road on a bit of ground we've got an old railway, airfield. So I'm down here at the moment loading nuts and silage in the feed trailer in order to haul it back to the farm to feed the cows. Now this silage is about 3 years old. Now when we had a year of excess grass, we made this clamp silage and we put it down here for a year like this. So it's actually good stuff. We had a good year a couple of years ago when we had loads of grass and we were swimming in the stuff, and we put it down here in the clamp. So we just, this is an old air, like this is an old runway this is, it goes for ages. Like it probably goes for like a mile that way. And we just use World War II runway, and we just store all our stuff on it now, like silage, and we've got some machines and that. But this silage here, it's like a domed clamp what we made, and it's been here for a long time, so it's not looking pretty. But I'll show you the whole out, and I'll tell you the ins and outs. Now we've got a sheet on it, we've got tyres, and we're getting near the end of it now, so we've got probably about 70 tonne left there. But we've got a few, you know, you've got a lot of mould on top, a lot of rot. But we're digging into it. But it saved us this year, because this is the stuff we've been using to feed the cows, what have been completely out of grub, and we have not used the grub what we made this year to feed the cows this winter. So this is our saviour. And what we're going to do this again. We're going to make some clamp silage and put down here next time we have a lot, because it works really well. So you got to hook off all the rot and that, and chuck the tie sheet back, and it hasn't been touched for a while, so a few birds have put holes in it and whatnot. But the majority of it is good stuff. Like that's the rot there, what we scooped off and chucked that way. So we forfeited a bit of it. But I'm putting it in this feed trailer, and we've got 2 of these, so we load up 2 of these and take them back to the farm, and they eat that, and it's kept the milk good. The spring cows are still milking well. But we've had a little bit of rain now, and it is greening up. Now what we have had this year is we've had loads of hay grind to cut. So look at all these bales here. So this is another lot. All our hay sheds, what we usually use, are completely full up with hay. We've probably made not far off 1,000 round bales of hay this year. Because there was one point when we had loads of grass, and then we filled up the silage camp, we couldn't fit in, and then we made a lot of hay, and then the grazing went straight away, because this farm's really dry. But here you go, I'll show you how we stack the hay. Just jump up on there a minute. So this is what we do. So we've got 4 sausage roll lengths here. So there's nowhere else to put it, so we had to put it outside, and we stack them in these long sausage rolls. So the rain, because the rain bell was like a thatched roof. If you see, when the rain hits onto this bell here, it just runs off. If you left them out all winter, yeah, you might, you know, it's going to change colour on the top, but inside it's going to be good. We've done this before, but not as much as this. So, and then we'll probably feed these first because they're outside. So they'll all get fed this side of Christmas probably. But this is good knowing this is here. But look at that grass out there. So that's greened up overnight, that was yellow as yellow, that was. And the red clover's perked up. And it's greened up. So it's starting to move on just a little bit of rain. So we ain't had a great deal. We're just getting little drips and drops here and there. We had one heavy storm, I think last week somewhere. I think it's like last Monday or Tuesday, and that's all we've really had. We you know, it come down and just washed off straight away down the river, but we haven't, apart from that, we've had like sod all. So we've got loads of hay, so we'll probably have to mix a bit of hay with the silage this year to string the silage out. I think you can feed up to 4 kilos of hay a cow with the silage, and it not affect the milk yield too much. But we'll chop this, we'll put this in the straw chopper, chop it, then chuck it in the silage, then mix it up. What you got to do when you put them store hay outside is perfectly okay. They don't rot or anything, but it is on concrete, so it's nearly better you actually just stack them out in your field, because the water just goes down in the ground. Then what we will get is a bit of water run down the concrete and make the bottom of the bale dirty. But it is what it is. I'd rather have it on concrete than out in the field, because I don't like driving out in the field making a mess. But putting it out in the field is probably better for the actual bell. So we don't want them touching each other too much. Like they're touching there, but that's the way you got stacked. But here, this is ideal really. You want a space in between, so the water just runs off either side and the bell's okay. But what we'll definitely do when we get a lot of grass next time is we're going to make another clamp down there, and then if we don't touch it for a while, then we'll leave it, you know, 2 to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it be, but we probably will. But it's worked extremely well. And then we'll just let that rot down and mix it up. Because this farm here, this spring calving unit here, is organic. So we can't put fertiliser on. Like now, you see, we're just waiting for the grass to grow back. We go out with a slurry and all that, and that helps out. But there's nothing like, you know, farmers who chuck a bit of nitrogen on that grass, it's going to get going now. But we got to wait a bit longer. And then we're getting towards the end of the year now. So it's middle towards the end of August. We get into September. Like September, you get some good grass growth, and you do in October. But you get into like the middle of October, you're starting to think about bringing them in. They're starting to look a bit autumny, colder, shorter days. So I'll say another 6-8 weeks, and then we'll be thinking about winter. And then we want to leave a little bit of grass cover on the ground, ready for the cows in the spring, so we can have an early turnout if we get some good weather. That help push the milk on the spring having cows. So I'm just driving out the runway at the moment. I've got another heap of bells there. We had 100 there, that's the peas and barley bells, but we're digging into them fast. And then we got other stuff on the runway, like we've got a bit of rotted muck here, what we're trying to rot down a bit so we don't get no dock seeds in the fields. So we're going to let that rot down a bit more, and then we're going to spread that on the field. I'm going to take this feed trailer back and I'm going to get the other one filled out of that. It's about a 3-mile drive from the farm, so it is a bit of a hassle doing it. You know, it's a few more hours in the day taken up, but it is what it is. The cows get fed, the cows milk well, so